What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dave Cave. I, as always, am Dave. Now, today, we're going to talk Terrifier because, holy hell, this movie. It's, whew. But we're going to get into it. Let's just jump right in. So, Terrifier stars David Howard Thornton as Art. It's the only person I'm going to list because he is the shining star of this movie. And I don't necessarily mean shining star as in he is the star of the movie, but he sticks out. His performance makes this movie. He is creepy as all shit, and he crushes that whole persona perfectly. We're going to touch back on that probably 50 times through this review. I apologize ahead of time, but he did a really good job creeping the shit out of me. So the basic story is Art the Clown wreaking havoc on Halloween. That's all you need to know. This clown going around getting ready to fuck shit up. That's the basic story. That's all you need to know. And then it goes. And it goes, and it goes, and it goes. And it goes. The main driving force of this movie is the gore. The gore, the gore, the gore. This is a gore fest. This is a bloodthirsty movie. There is blood throughout. It starts and stops. It's just blood through it. Blood and guts and just craziness through this whole movie. And sometimes it's really well done. A few times I thought it was actually kind of cheesy and not that great. And other times it's done to the point of like disgustingly well done. There was only one kill in this I wasn't able to watch, but we're going to get into that later. The acting in Terrifier, overall, it's passable. Some of it is very kind of almost fan-made, and that's not fan-made movies. There are some very well-made fan-made movies. Looking at you, Never Hike Alone. But there are also some fan-made movies where you're just like, okay, they're doing what they can do with what they got. And some performances in this movie are like that. Others are really well done. I'm not going to say who does a good job and who doesn't do such a good job. But one person that does a really good job is Art. Like I said, he makes and breaks this movie. He so just puts you on edge. But we're going to get into him, and he gets his own section. So we'll get to Art some more. But first, before we get to Art, we're going to talk the kills. Because the kills in this movie, I didn't find one of them to be not twisted. They're all messed up in some way, shape, or form. Even in the most simplistic of kills that Art performs, it's even a little like, dude, you don't need that. You don't need to do that. And if you watch it, you know which one I'm talking about. Like it's not like the kill stopped here, and then he kept going. And it's not that one. It's the one later. And with the kills, there was one, like I said, that I was not able to watch. Not because it inherently made me sick to my stomach or was difficult to watch. I watched every kill in this movie. I saw where this one kill was going. But, and this is a little bit into my life, I, online, years ago, probably a decade and a half ago, saw one of these kills happen online. Actually saw this happen to a human being. And I had to stop. I let the movie play and whatever, but I just had to wait for it to be done, because I know where it's going, and I don't need to relive that, because that is some horrific shit to see happen to a person. Moving along, we are going to start talking about Art. Now, Art, 3 words. What the fuck? He is just so... I really want to know more about Art. I think I heard something that this isn't the first movie that has Art in it, but it's the first movie that introduces David Howard Thornton in the credits. So I don't know how that's possible. Maybe there's some kind of writing about Art. I'd like to know more about him. But he is just crazy, and he's the perfect villain. In that, like, you have Freddy, you know why. Like, Freddy gets the joy from his kills, right? But Freddy has a motivation. You understand Freddy's motivation. You have Jason, and Jason has no personality, but he has a motivation for his kills, so to speak. And then you have Michael, his craziness, that you know he's clinically crazy. Sure, he might be the embodiment of evil, might not, up in the air, depending on which timeline you follow, and whatever. He doesn't have a motive per se, but they say he's crazy. Art is... he's not explained at all. A little bit of spoiler alert there. He's not explained, and he doesn't make a sound. Does not make a sound. At all, through the whole movie. He gets his fair shares of kicks and punches thrown his way. He does not make a sound. And that is perfect. He's like, it makes him an embodiment of evil. It makes him an avatar of just death and carnage and chaos. And that's perfect. That's exactly what a villain, so to speak, like this should be. And I only put villain like that because a villain implies that there's a hero. And like I said in House of a Thousand Corpses, there's no hero, there's no joy in this movie. The only joy, and I'm quoting that review, the only joy is from Art. And Art killing these people that are in this movie. That's the only joy, is his joy. It's no one else's joy. It's not our joy. Well, some people's joy. Not my joy. It's just so, and I'm sorry that I'm a little bit speechless when I talk about Art, because it's just so twisted what he can do, what he can bring himself to do, and what he can mime laugh doing is just so twisted, but it's so perfect in his execution of how he is done. Like I said, David Howard Thornton crushes this performance. He is Art. And that kind of isn't a good thing, but it's a good thing. And like I said in the synopsis, the very brief synopsis, is that Art is a clown that wreaks havoc on Halloween. This takes place on Halloween, on one solid night. Because it takes place on Halloween, I thought it was very interesting that there are some parallels between some of the kills in this movie and some of the kills in Halloween 2018. This movie is for sure for gorehounds. That's what you got to go into expecting out of this. This is carnage and gore and blood and guts. Just blood, guts, gore galore. That's what this is. And it has it in spades. Something else that I was very aware of while I was watching it is I didn't smile through the whole movie. Just one very brief moment towards the end. Very brief moment. Someone gives somebody the middle finger at a very interesting part, and I got a little... but that's it. I didn't smile in this movie at all. But that's okay. I didn't go into this movie expecting to have a good time. I didn't enjoy it, per se, as I was watching it, but I respected it because it was doing a good job. Up until the carnage kind of really started, I could feel the tension in my body, waiting for the ball to get rolling, so to speak. Because like I said, you go into this movie knowing that there's going to be blood and guts and carnage and craziness. So you're waiting for that to start and see how that's going to start and how that's going to get going. So for me, when it gets to that point in the movie, especially like this, the tension kind of cuts away, because then it starts to get into some of the classic horror tropes. You start to see some of the things you've seen before in some of the movies. So that's why this movie's a little wobbly for me on that. But before that, it builds the tension real well, because you don't know when what is going to who to the what to the this and the that. It just kind of grabs you, and then you wait, and then it rips you apart. And like with movies like this, I dropped F-bombs left, right, and center watching this. And none of them were happy. Like I said, there's no joy in this movie. None of them were happy F-bombs for me. They're all just, fuck, 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 fuck. It was all that kind of just like, what the hell, dude? Because, like I said, Art gets off on what he does in this movie. Gets off on it. He doesn't actually get off on it. That would have added a whole different level to it. But he gets off on it. He's cackling in his silence through, I think, almost every kill. Almost every. Most of them. As I said, I didn't enjoy this movie. I didn't have fun with this movie. When I first watched this movie, and I'm a little bit detached from it now. I was originally going to record this right after I watched it. And when I first watched it, I was like, screw this movie. Didn't enjoy it. Didn't like it. I have no... just kind of... I didn't like it. I didn't have fun with it. But then, as I've thought about it, and I'm going to go into... We're going to have a little spoiler section here in a little bit where we talk about some of the specifics as to why I've changed over from 15 minutes after I watched it, when I was like, screw this movie hard, I don't ever want to see this again, to, I might actually watch this again. I might. There's actually probably a pretty good chance that Terrifier is going to get into my brain one more time, at least. It might be a regular Halloween thing for me. But as I've thought about it, I've grown to enjoy it more in my mind. It's a much smarter movie in retrospect than I gave it credit when I first started watching it. And because of that, just that fact that I am, as I've thought more back on it, I'm like, oh, well, this, oh, well, this, oh, well, that, you know what, this and that. It became a smarter movie, and because it could make me rethink my own thoughts about the movie, I respect it more and more the more I think about it. So, while I went in with a very negative outlook on what I expected this movie to be, I now have a much bigger respect for this movie and an expectation that I will probably watch it again. So overall, before we get into some spoilers, I want to say, watch it. If you like blood, guts, and gore, if you're a horror fan, go watch Terrifier. Give it a chance. Because I don't know if you're going to like it, but there's definitely a lot to respect with this movie. And like I said, if you're a horror fan, I feel like you should, just to have it in your repertoire of brain space, because it is a good horror movie. I don't know if it'll win any awards ever, but it's a good movie. It does a good job at what it tries to do. And if a movie can do a good job at what it tries to do, that makes it a good movie, doesn't it? Does in my book. So, that right there, that's going to wrap up my official review of this movie. Now, we're going to talk spoilers, so I'm going to give you guys 5 seconds. If you don't want to know anything else about this movie, get out of here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bye-bye. Hey, you sticked around. Okay, stuck around. So we're going to talk a little bit of spoilers here. For me, I've learned about myself in all the horror movies I've watched over the years, and especially some of the ones I've rewatched and watching this one again. I've learned that I don't like drawn-out kills, per se, not as a rule, but as a general preference. I don't like drawn-out kills. What I mean that is, like, the pain starts, and then it's, all this time, and then the person dies. Like, a little bit of psychological torture I can get behind. That might be worse, or that might be worse. But this movie has a lot of long, drawn-out kills. As, if you're here, the saw down the middle scene, that is a long, drawn-out kill. I don't like that shit. But I understand why he did it. Like, I understand that that's what the movie is trying to do, trying to shock you with the insane fucking gore of that scene. It's a horrible scene. It's a horrific scene. I knew the scene was in there, and I was very much not looking forward to watching it. But having watched it, I get it. The scene when Tara, I think her name is killed, and you think she's going to make it to the end, and she doesn't at all. But he shoots her. You're like, okay, shot her in the face. He tried to shoot her again. He's just going to leave her to die. No, he goes back and he gets another clip and he empties that into her fucking face. You don't need that. Like, it's just insane. And the kill that I had to look away from was the decapitation. The guy getting his head sawed off. I saw that 15 years ago on one of those released videos that was happening back then. And I couldn't. And quick little thing, the guy that dies that way, he played the Aaron from Halloween, the Halloween 60 video. He played the Aaron role of that in that movie, in that trailer. This is the same guy. It blew my mind when I saw it. The main turnaround, which is why you might still be here with me, and I appreciate that. The main turnaround I had with this movie is the ending. The Quentin Tarantino ending of, you find out that Art's little commando suit up scene was the end of the movie, after the interview and all that shit. And what I like so much about that is, like I said, the more I think about it, the more I like stuff like this. You don't know, did Art kick in the TV because he's got unfinished business? He's got to go get Victoria, or he just doesn't like being talked about because he's supposed to be dead. She somehow knows he's not dead. But is he, and it's a year later. It's Halloween a year later. So is Art an entity that gets unleashed on Halloween because he blows his brains out? He's dead. And then he, all the lights crazy flicker in the, coroner's office, and then he grabs the guy, or the coroner's, whatever, that room. He grabs the guy by the throat, and obviously isn't dead. You're not walking away from, putting a gun in your mouth and pulling the trigger like that. So I'm curious if there's ever going to be a Terrifier 2. Initially, I'm like, nah, I'm done. I'm good. Like I said, as I've thought about this movie more, I've appreciated it more. I've started to enjoy it almost in my mind, kind of intrigued to watch it again, knowing everything that I'm going to get into. But I think I would like to see a Terrifier 2. I'd like to see where he's going after he kicks in the TV. Are we going to get Victoria having to fight for her life with a bum eye and that's it? And, being all messed up after she's been driven crazy? Because I didn't see that kill coming at all. Well, I don't even know if it's a kill, honestly. They don't see her stop breathing, which is even more twisted, that the reporter could still be alive after what Victoria does to her. So like I said, I'd go see a sequel. I would watch a sequel to this movie in a heartbeat because I just want to see where they're going. The only downside I would see to having a sequel to this is with movies like this, like what happened with the Saw series, is they have to go that much crazier than what they did in the first. They don't have to, but they'll want to up the ante in their movie. Where I would like a kind of like House of a Thousand Corpses versus Devil's Rejects thing, where they keep it crazy, but they maybe go a different route with it, maybe have, different cinematography, different way of shooting things, different way of handling how Art gets to people, and, maybe have less secluded, more, have him on the prowl, something. But I'd like that. So, in conclusion, I think I like this movie. When I think back on, how I talk about it and how I've talked about it to people that watched it because of me, I think I like this movie. Even though I don't enjoy it, I don't know. Alright, so that's going to do it for me today. If you enjoyed this review, please hit that thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button because we got more coming here in the Dave Cave. Thank you very much for stopping by. Take care.